How's it going, Mike?
How are you?
What is a balanced offense?
Well, to me, a balanced offense is a good mix of running it, throwing it, and then there's other ways to where you try to attack defenses inside, outside, down the field, intermediate, short, all that kind of stuff.
And after 5 games, how much do you think, or how close do you guys think you're there toward your goal of being balanced?
Still working towards it.
Kind of going off that, Mike, how close do you feel like Lenoris is to being the player he was last year? Did you see things in that Kentucky game that made you feel that way?
Yeah, I think he's yes, I did. And I think he's working every week towards getting better.
What was it you saw in the Kentucky game that makes you say that?
Well, he made some plays on all the down and distances, made good decisions, made some good throws, did some really unbelievable things that you don't coach, and helped us win a game.
Mike, what makes Matt Fuller an ideal SEC running back?
So Matt he's still learning and growing as we go. He's a hard-nosed back. He's hard to tackle. His style is still kind of, it remains to be seen because he hadn't had a whole lot of carries, but he gave us some tough yards. He, as you guys probably saw, every time he got hit, he was kind of going forward, not going backwards. So I think that, you talk about runners running behind their pads, playing low, and being able to take on, hits and tacklers and still be able to gain momentum after the hit.
With Mike Smith moving on, what were some of the things you guys have seen over these last 5 weeks or so that had the other tight ends playing ahead of him, playing more than he was?
Well, I can tell you about each guy. I mean, Brady, I think, has done a good job. He's very knowledgeable of our offense. He's smart. He's got a fast mind. He has improved his run blocking. He's got good hands, and really, like starting with the first game of the year, I had a little more juice after the catch than maybe what I give him credit for. Jordan's done a good job. He's tough. He's hard-nosed. He's getting more comfortable with what we're doing each day. Those guys both give good effort, and so they've been. And then Mo has done a good job too of coming in and doing some things that we didn't really ask him to do a lot of last year. And he's very explosive, very powerful, both as a blocker and when he gets the ball in his hands.
Kind of back to Matt Fuller real quick. What were some things y'all were seeing from him in practice that was allowing him to earn more and more carries as it's gone on?
Yeah, I just think he's gotten more consistent, more comfortable with his assignments, both with the ball and then without them. It's important to him, and he's one of many young players on our offense that keeps getting better and better. And sometimes you as coaches, sometimes you're a little bit leery of putting a younger guy in there, and yet you still want him to get experience. Well, how does he get experience if you don't put him in there? And so sometimes you just got to, trust it and throw him in there, and then he gets better because of the game experience, which I think Matt has done.
Of Vendrivius Jacobs with having back-to-back 100-yard games, what have you seen him to have so much confidence in practice that translates so easily in games week to week?
Hard work. Yeah, and he's worked really hard, and is very conscientious about doing things right and asking questions, and if they're not right, he wants to make sure that he gets it right, the next time.
Shane's mentioned a couple times that the running backs have left some yards out there. How big of a problem do you feel like that's been, and how do you coach and correct those kind of things?
Just like you do every other position. It's not just, when you have success, it's not usually just one position or one guy. When you don't have success, it's the same thing. So I think, I think you just coach as hard as you can on every play and teach and detail out the fine points of every play and show guys when it's good enough and why, and when it's not good enough and why, and then this is how you do it better. And then just make sure there's a clear communication, a clear understanding of what he's being asked to do. And you can do that through different ways, just practice reps on the field, in the meeting room, get them up on the board, draw things up, watch the video, and then game. There's the best way to learn is through game experience, as we know.
After Nick caught that long touchdown against Virginia Tech, how have you seen defenses switch their coverage, knowing that his ability to beat them over the top?
Yeah, I mean, it's even in that game, teams they play him a little bit softer, but he's also been challenged too in press coverage. That was really the one time, if I remember correctly, I think that was the one time that they actually did come up and press him in that first game. But yeah, no, he's they're playing him a little bit softer. Yeah, we get that, and he gets that, and just the things we're working on with him are just like a lot of other guys, just being real precise with your routes, being in the right spot on time, and making adjustments on the run, which happens probably 75% of the time.
Mike, correct me if I'm wrong here, but didn't you play against LSU at Tiger Stadium?
Yes, you have a good memory.
I was about to say, sorry to bring up the bad ones if they are, but what do you remember about the atmosphere and
not
how difficult it is to be a QB?
I caught a touchdown pass in that stadium. So, what are you guys laughing at? Maybe you got to go back and see it. No, I didn't have to run very far though. But no, I'm sorry. What was your serious question? Yeah. So no, great memories there, and just because of the atmosphere, and it's a really cool place. Now I know there's a lot of stadiums now that have gotten bigger and louder and all that kind of stuff. That was probably one of the original ones that everyone talked about being the loudest, and they're it's SEC football, SEC fan. They're passionate, and yeah, I think. I mean, they got great fans, but I learned about another team that's got really cool home fans too since I've been here, and it's unique in our conference, and it's why we, as Coach talks about, I'm sure he's talking. That's why we coach here, and why our guys come to the SEC to play.
Shane mentioned after the Kentucky game that Lenoris got to the line and not necessarily audible, but they weren't run calls for him. This is how he was describing it. Tell me if I'm wrong. They weren't run calls for him, but he kind of got to the line, saw the defense, and chose to run. Can you describe his role at the line, how he saw those things, and when you guys are watching it on film, how you coach those things, or that's good or bad?
Yeah, no. So there's certain plays, yeah, sure, like a lot of other quarterbacks in college football, where you give them the option to whether or not it's before the ball is snapped or after the ball is snapped, to run the ball or to hand it off or what have you, change the play. And it's not free reign. It's not every play, but on certain plays where we try to limit it, where we make it a situation where it's pretty clear for him to where he's going to make the right decision. And then, because we want all our guys, especially the Q, especially Norris, we want him playing fast. We don't want him having to think about a lot of things. So we want him, whatever those decisions are, we want him to be looks that we've practiced all week, and that he'll make a good decision on Sunday. And he's, as we know, he's very athletic. He's very talented. He's a unique runner as a quarterback, the way he runs. And but main thing is, whether or not it's running the football or throwing it, just continue to make good decisions that keep us on the field to where we're getting first downs and staying on the field.
How would you assess the line's play over the first 5 weeks, and do you feel like you guys are progressing towards a spot where you feel like things are getting better and closer?
Yeah, I think so. I think we're getting better. I think they're just like every other position on offense. I think we need to get better, and we're not. I don't think we'll ever be where we want to be. But as a group, the perfect game is still out there. So we're practicing with those guys up front. It's been a different group, as you guys have seen. There's a totally different group on the field at the end in the fourth quarter of the Kentucky game than there was in the first quarter. So we've had some substitutions. Guys have done a good job. Coach Teasley's done a really good job of having guys learn multiple positions so they can step in all of a sudden and know what to do. Has it been pretty at times? No, but there's also been some times where we've done a really good job running the football and playing to keep away. I thought, our guys did a really good job. Now, maybe it wasn't flashy with 10, 15-yard gashes, but, we did a good job at the end of the game last week when we had to run the football and try to keep our defense off the field and go win the game. And, I know we had the lead, but still there's some really good things that I think we can point to and look forward to because of what they did.
Awesome. Good afternoon. Hope everybody's doing great. Glad to be back here after the open week and watch our guys try to get better last week. And I thought they all attacked the open week the way a really good team should. And obviously our players are really excited about going down to Baton Rouge this weekend and playing a really good football team, a football team that's never lacked the talent. So excited to get down there.
Clayton, not sure how much you watched last year's game film, but it seemed like there was just a point during that game last year, 17-0. Something clicked, and all of a sudden Nussmeier was back to himself. Do you remember seeing what that was, or what play that was, where it was like, uh-oh, this guy just woke up?
Really, it was just that whatever drive that was. It was a second or third drive where it was up 17-0. They hit a pass over the top across a bender. Then we missed a couple of tackles on the sideline, and they scored, and they kind of got going. It's definitely an offense that we knew last year, just like this year, don't have any weaknesses. Talent, from top to bottom all the way across the board. So you got to do a great job of, you can't give them anything. You got to make them earn everything. That's kind of the offense that you're facing.
What has stood out to you about Garrett Nussmeier this year that you did not see last year going into this game?
Well, I think last year, I saw it all from him. So it's like whatever, nothing has, it's exactly what I expected from him. He's a very accurate quarterback that can escape the pocket. He does a really good job of obviously controlling the offense and really getting them in the right protection, bringing receivers in to block apex players and blitzers and, throwing the ball out to screens and just, trying his best to make sure he's, blitzing. If they see the safety here, they run the run this way or they throw it away. He does a great job of controlling the thing. I think he does a really good job of all that. His accuracy has always been the best thing that I've seen from him.
Coming out of that Kentucky game with all the pressure your ends in particular were able to get, is that maybe like a get-right type of game for these guys, or is this just a whole new challenge that's up ahead this week?
It's a brand new week for sure. Our guys understand every week is a new week, different opponents. We really try to focus on what we can do to get better, understanding just the basic fundamentals of the game. But definitely it's a brand new week. Obviously, LSU has really big tackles, 75, 71. Those guys are huge, and got to do a great job of controlling and make sure we, Nuss does a great job of stepping up a lot and escaping the pocket and finding ways to get the ball down the field. We just got to be great understanding our rush lanes and not going too crazy up the field.
It seems like, especially against Ole Miss, LSU didn't throw deep downfield. There was a lot of screens. Like, how important is your tackling for your cornerbacks, especially guys on the perimeter against these LSU wide receivers?
Yes. They've always done a great job of getting skilled players that can make you miss and guys that can take you the distance. So definitely tackling in the perimeter is going to be huge for both teams, really. Definitely for us on the defensive side of the ball. and obviously pursuing to the football because you're not going to make all those tackles, but when if they miss one, hold on for dear life, and then the next two guys come up and let's gang tackle, let's get guys there. Let's not have a lot of solo tackles, but if you are out there by yourself, do a great job of taking care of business while you're out there.
What's just your 5-game assessment of your linebackers, and I guess especially with Jo, it seems like he's really kind of gotten better each week as he's been with y'all.
5-game assessment, I feel like the guys they totally understand what we're trying to do on defense. I do think that part is very important as a linebacker. You have to, understand the front, your side, and the back side of the defense. I do think they've done a great job of just understanding the big picture. I think they're playing hard, or they can play harder at times, tackle better. We improved our tackling the last 2 games, I would say. The Kentucky game, and we worked on tackling a lot last week. So I was counting last week as a game. But yes, those guys are getting better in regards to just those details. But I like what they're doing, and I think they can only get better every single week.
This is a team that hasn't run the ball very well this year. Do you expect them to kind of go away from that a little bit, or try and test you guys, since it hasn't, I guess some of your rushing numbers haven't been incredible?
Yeah, so I feel like any offensive coordinator is gonna do obviously try to start out with the running game. Then nobody wants to sit back and throw it 60, 70 times. That's not a good formula for really any team to go out and win ball games. So of course they're gonna try and run the ball. They have a really good running back in Durham who's probably coming off an injury. They have number 8 who's also a good back. Like I said, talent is never the thing. So they got good backs all through that running back room, I promise you. So they're gonna turn around and hand the ball off and see what we can do.
Shane mentioned it yesterday about the crowd noise, but anything you're doing with your guys to prepare them for the environment?
Really, for us defensively, at a home game, it should be more of a not. I mean, they're not gonna have a lot of crowd when Nuss is out there making his checks, and like I said, they love football down there. They understand when to make noise and when not. So, but we do a good job of making sure when our offense is on the field with crowd noise, there's going to be some noise. So we do a great job of hand signaling and make sure we communicating the correct way with the right gestures and sign language and eye contact. And especially on the road, you have to be, you're in a different environment. So you have to do a great job of enhancing all those little things to communicate better.
How much will it help getting Judge back and kind of building up depth at cornerback and getting a starter back, obviously, too, as he gets healthier?
Yes, Judge it's been great to get him back out there. I think he played probably 15 to 16 snaps last game. That was kind of our plan to get him going, have an open week to get him back in shape. And obviously for the stretch we got coming up, it's nice to have him back. He's a veteran player who makes plays, who's been here with us for a long time, and he understands our defense. And it's always great to have another set of fresh legs to go out and cover guys. Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
How's everybody doing? Cool. There it goes. We're back on schedule. I love it.
Joe at Kentucky, Max hits one out of bounds. I mean, Mason shanks one, and maybe not open competition or whatever because it's every week. But what do you talk to young guys like that when they have a big mistake like that and say you just got to put it behind you?
What you just said, right? Forget it and drive on, right? Fido, you got to try to get them through that as quickly as possible. We've been very fortunate up to this point because they've done a good job in those first 4 games. Struggled some against Kentucky, and going into a hostile environment, we got to get that corrected real quick. So pleased with where they're at, but obviously want to have those 2 back, and hopefully we can get those corrected.
How does a hostile environment like that affect what you guys are doing with some of your operations?
Well, I mean, just as far as the same thing offensively, right? The silent snaps and all that kind of stuff, you need to make sure you're prepared for that. I don't think the crowd noise and all that stuff isn't going to affect us on kickoff return and all that kind of stuff. It's going to be a neat environment to be in. I know before I got into college football, that was one of the places I wanted to go see during my, whatever they call it, my retirement area. But, now I get to see it for live, which is pretty cool. So looking forward to it. They've got an unbelievable group of returners. That's going to be our biggest challenge. They've got guys that have scored 10 touchdowns out of the 3 of them. Varian Brown scored 5. Thomas has scored, I believe, 3 or 4, and then the other guys got 1. So they've got a real group of returners that we're going to be. It's going to be a real challenge for us.
Hey, Joe, can you take us through what your perspective was on what you saw from the fake punt pass from Mason?
Yeah, great throw. We obviously we've seen Mo make those plays before, run through people in the past, and that guy from Kentucky made a nice play. So, we felt like it was the right time for that. Felt like the play was there. Still feel like the play was there. We just got to execute it better at the end of the play.
On kickoffs, you guys have only had, I think, 25% a touchback rate. Is that something you want? Do you want your guys to go out and cover, or has that just been based on the opponents you're facing?
Yeah, it's a game-to-game type situation, but I do think that we've done a good job of covering here in the last 2 years. Knock on wood. So I do think that that's part of our mentality. I don't think you can't learn much from touchback. In my opinion, you can't really change field position. It's going to be at the 25. You hope. If you cover it, there's a chance that you get the ball inside the 15, and we've done that a few times. The other night, Mo has a great big hit that, gets everybody cranked up and gets everybody rolling. So, I hope we're able to keep doing that. But, again, you never know game to game and how the wind's playing and all those type of things. So, we'll go from there.
Joe, when you're evaluating guys, like really recruiting and really in preseason camp, how much do you pay attention to a punter's arm, just in case fake plays can become part of the playbook? Just how much do you evaluate that, and is it something that you kind of work on throughout the season? If you judge it, that guy can throw a little bit.
Oh, there's no question. I mean, every place I've been, one of the things that we do when we go work a guy out is you're going to watch him throw because you want to know it both ways, right? Like, let's say we're recruiting a kid and he goes someplace else. I mean, when I get to the scouting report, I can go, hey, this guy can throw it. So the fake might be up against us right there. So I think it's important that way too. But, obviously with Coach Beamer's acumen for fakes around here, you better have a punter that can throw it. I can tell you that much. And, Mason did a good job of that the other night. Cool. Thank you.